I did not suspect DeWanna Bonner would be returning to the Indiana Fever. She has been out now for 6 games away from the team for only personal reasons, and the team was being really tight-lipped about it. They weren't giving any more information. But the whole thing, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of fans, is that there was something else going on. This didn't seem like something where there was maybe something going on with her family. It didn't seem like she was sick or injured. She just simply stepped away from the team, and nobody really knew why.
Something else was going on. That's the feeling that so many of us had when the news first broke. The official story was that DeWanna Bonner, the veteran champion signed to mentor Caitlin Clark, had simply quit on her team. The headline screamed about ego, about a player abandoning her post. But for the narrative analysts, for those of us who look for the story behind the story, that explanation never felt right. It was too simple, too clean. The truth is, this wasn't just a case of a disgruntled player. This was a story about a brutal, data-driven decision, a story buried in the team's internal analytics. Today, we're going to filter out the noise and expose the secret data that truly got DeWanna Bonner waived. We'll show you the exact numbers that forced her coach's hand and sealed her fate in Indiana. And if you, like us, believe in looking past the headlines to find the real story, do me a favor and hit that like button. It shows us we're on the right track. Okay, so let's set the stage with the official version of events. In February of 2025, the Indiana Fever signed DeWanna Bonner to a 1-year, $200,000 contract. The move was celebrated everywhere. Here was a 2-time champion, a 6-time All-Star, brought in to be the veteran leader for a young team built around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Clark herself called Bonner the strongest voice in our locker room before the season even started. And then, in late June, it all imploded.
Some big news here. The Indiana Fever are waiving DeWanna Bonner.
The Indiana Fever front office has confirmed they are looking for possible trades for DeWanna Bonner.
The official statement from Bonner was professional, citing that the fit did not work out. The Fever granted her request, and she was gone. But that's where the public story stops and our investigation begins, because the bad fit wasn't some vague, mysterious locker room issue. It was a specific event, a turning point. After starting the first 3 games of the season, DeWanna Bonner was moved to a reserve role on May 24th. That, right there, is the domino that started this entire chain reaction. The question is, why was she benched in the first place? That's where the data comes in. The decision to bench a 16-year veteran with championship pedigree isn't made lightly. Front offices, especially one trying to build a winning culture around a phenom like Clark, need undeniable proof to make a move that controversial. And the Indiana Fever's analytics team had it. They had the secret data. Let's start connecting the dots. The first piece of evidence was her performance on paper. In her 9 games with the Fever, Bonner was shooting just 34.5% from the field, a career low. For a player brought in to be a reliable scoring presence, that number is already a major red flag. But individual stats don't tell the whole story. The truly damning evidence, the number that likely sealed her fate on the bench, was her on-off-court net rating. Now, for those who aren't deep into analytics, let's break down what that means, because this is critical. Net rating is a simple but brutal measure of a player's total impact. It calculates whether the team is outscoring its opponents or being outscored when that one player is on the court. It cuts through all the noise and asks one question: does this player help us win? With DeWanna Bonner on the court, The Indiana Fever were outscored by 10.2 points per 100 possessions. Let that sink in. With their veteran leader in the game, the team was getting beat, and badly. But here is the other side of the coin. Here is the secret data that ended her. With DeWanna Bonner off the court, sitting on the bench, the Indiana Fever outscored their opponents by a staggering 15.1 points per 100 possessions. This wasn't a small difference. This wasn't a rounding error. This is a 25-point swing in performance. The data wasn't just whispering, it was screaming at the front office. It showed that the Fever went from being a losing team to a dominant one simply by having her on the sideline. The numbers proved that DeWanna Bonner, the player signed to elevate the team, was statistically the single biggest factor holding them back. And once the coaching staff saw that number, a number that stark and that clear, they no longer had a choice. They had a mandate, a 25-point swing in performance. Now imagine you're the head coach, Stephanie White, and that spreadsheet lands on your desk. This is the critical junction where the narrative gets even more complex, because for Coach White, this wasn't just about cutting any veteran player, this was personal. What most of the initial reports failed to mention is that Coach White and DeWanna Bonner have a long history. White was her head coach for 2 seasons when they were both with the Connecticut Sun. There was a pre-existing professional relationship, a foundation of respect. The expectation coming into Indiana should have been a seamless transition, a coach and a trusted veteran working in lockstep. But that data changed everything. That spreadsheet presented an impossible dilemma. Do you honor your history and loyalty to a player you know and respect, a future Hall of Famer, or do you honor your responsibility to the other 11 players on the roster, to the franchise, and to the generational talent in Caitlin Clark that you are tasked with building a championship contender around? The data made the choice for her. It was cold, it was impartial, and it was absolute. And you can see the exact moment the shift happened in her own words. Just before the waiver was announced, when the questions about Bonner's absence started swirling, Coach White was asked about her conversations with the veteran. Her response was a masterclass in professional distance. She said, quote, "I haven't had a lot of conversations with her recently, really focused on the team we have right here and what we need to do to position ourselves to win. The team we have right here." That's the signal. That's the moment a coach mentally moves on. The decision had been made, and it was made on the back of those brutal, undeniable numbers. It wasn't a personal slight. It was a tactical necessity. This is one of the toughest calls a coach can make. Do you trust your history with a player, or do you trust the numbers on a page that tell you a change is needed? Let me know what you would have done in the comments below. Faced with this data-driven reality, DeWanna Bonner had a choice to make. She could accept the new reserve role, the one dictated by her performance, or she could reject it. And her actions tell us everything we need to know about which path she chose. So, how does a player, a veteran champion, respond when faced with a statistical reality that challenges her role and status on a team? Well, DeWanna Bonner told us herself. On June 26th, after she was officially waived, she went to Instagram and posted this, quote, "A quitter? Nah, never been that. But when the time comes, let's just make sure the apologies are just as loud as the disrespect. In due time." Disrespect. That's the key word. While the Fever front office saw a logical, data-driven decision, Bonner seemingly interpreted the move to the bench as a personal slight. This is where the story pivots, from a business decision to a high-stakes gamble. Okay, now this is where we need to connect some dots based on multiple insider reports, because the public statements don't tell the full story. Those sources indicate that Bonner, unhappy with her new reserve role, formally requested a trade. The Fever's general manager, Amber Cox, confirmed they tried to find a trade partner but were unsuccessful, which ultimately led to the decision to waive her. But the chess match didn't end there. Hitting the waiver wire set up Bonner's riskiest move of all. See, when a player is on waivers, any team with the available cap space can claim their existing contract. But according to Front Office Sports and other insiders, Bonner's camp sent a clear message across the league. Don't touch me.
The fact that she has told all other teams, other than the Mercury, don't sign her. Because, by the way, if another team claims her off the waivers, she gets her full salary. She gets her full salary if another team claims her off the waivers. She has just said that she's only going to go to the Mercury. She has said she's only going to the Mercury.
This was the ultimate power play. By discouraging other teams from claiming her, she was making a calculated bet. She was willing to forfeit her guaranteed $200,000 salary to ensure she would pass through waivers unclaimed. Why? Because on the other side of that 48-hour waiver period was total freedom. As an unrestricted free agent, she could then sign with the one team she reportedly wanted to be on all along, the Phoenix Mercury. It was a gamble to force her own destiny, but it would come at a staggering cost. And it would leave a trail of collateral damage, starting with the very player she was brought in to guide. Every decision in sports creates ripples, and the choice to waive DeWanna Bonner sent a tidal wave directly toward the most important player on the Indiana Fever's roster, Caitlin Clark. We have to circle back to the original promise of DeWanna Bonner signing. She wasn't just brought in for her stats, she was signed to be a mentor, a veteran shield for the most hyped rookie in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark herself bought into this completely. Remember her preseason words? She called Bonner the strongest voice in our locker room and a selfless leader. That was the expectation. The reality was a stark betrayal of that promise. Instead of a mentor to help navigate the pressures of a rookie season, Clark got a teammate who departed mid-season because she couldn't accept a role that was dictated by her own declining performance data. The locker room leader left a leadership void, and this happened at a time when Clark needed that veteran presence more than ever. You have to understand the unique environment Caitlin Clark exists in. She isn't just another rookie.
Caitlin Clark, the ice princess, this rare diamond that can change the weather and the dynamics of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark is the ice princess, this precious diamond, this precious commodity, the greatest star in all of American sports right now. The WNBA has her within its grips and control, and they don't know what to do with her. The players on the opposing teams have a lot of animus towards her. They're so desperate to compete with her. Her talent is so...
That's the reality. In a league where she is facing open animus from opponents, Clark needed a veteran in her corner, in her own locker room, to have her back. Instead, that veteran chose to exit. Now, some online reports claimed that Clark was reportedly devastated by the news. While we can't get inside her head to confirm that, you can imagine the professional whiplash. The person hired to be your guide decides to abandon the journey because the map wasn't drawn exactly the way she wanted it. It raises a bigger question about professional responsibility. Do you think a veteran player owes something more to a rookie phenom in that situation? Is there a duty to lead even when you're unhappy with your own role? Drop your take in the comments. The Fever organization, however, couldn't wait around. They had a season to save, and their next move would serve as the ultimate validation for their controversial, data-driven decision. A leadership void was created, but the Indiana Fever's front office moved decisively to fill it. There was no hesitation. The same day Bonner was officially waived, June 25th, the team announced they were re-signing guard Iari McDonald. Now, you may remember McDonald had been with the team earlier on a short-term contract, and the organization saw something they liked. In the press release announcing her return, General Manager Amber Cox didn't mince words. She called McDonald, quote, a clear fit with the style and mentality we are building here with the Fever. A clear fit. That language isn't an accident. It's a direct, if subtle, contrast to the Bonner situation. It was a signal that the organization valued synergy and commitment to their up-tempo style over a veteran's resume. They were sending a message. It's about the team we are building, not the names we have. But the ultimate validation of their data-driven strategy, the final irrefutable proof that they had made the right call, came just a few days later. On July 1st, the new-look Indiana Fever, without DeWanna Bonner, won the WNBA Commissioner's Cup. They beat the Las Vegas Aces to claim the mid-season championship, and with that championship came a prize pool of $500,000. For the players who stayed, for the team that bought into the system, that meant a bonus of approximately $30,000 each. Think about that. By forcing her exit just days before, Bonner didn't just walk away from her salary. She walked away from a championship ring and a 5-figure bonus. The team didn't just survive without her, they immediately thrived, securing a title and a payday. There is no clearer validation for a front office's controversial decision than that. The data said they would be better off, and the Commissioner's Cup trophy proved the data was right. So when we connect all the dots, the picture that emerges is far more complex than the simple quitter narrative the mainstream media ran with. This wasn't just about ego or a player abandoning Caitlin Clark. This was about a veteran's inability to reconcile with a statistical truth. The secret data showed in the coldest and most objective terms that the team was significantly better without her on the floor. Faced with that undeniable evidence, Coach Stephanie White made a gut-wrenching but necessary business decision. A decision that was immediately validated by a championship trophy and a massive payday that Bonner herself missed out on. The data didn't just end her time in Indiana, it proved to be the very key that unlocked the team's true potential. So, what's your take on all this? We want to know what you, the narrative analysts, think. In the comments below, tell us who was really in the right here. Was the Fever's front office justified in making a ruthless, data-driven decision, or should they have shown more loyalty to a respected veteran? If you appreciate this kind of deep dive analysis that goes beyond the headlines to give you the full story, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We're always filtering out the noise to bring you the truth. And finally, if you know another WNBA fan who is tired of the hot takes and wants the real story behind the drama, do them a favor and share this video.